Hello everybody and welcome to my eFootball full demo release reaction video. Just a massive sigh really. Pretty disappointed, I think. I've went into two games. You're introduced to an intro game which is Argentina versus Portugal. So I played that one and then I thought I'd record some different gameplay once I'd sorted out what I wanted. So I went to broadcast cam and went to Juve v Barcelona. I'm actually playing as Juve and we go 1-0 up, which is lovely. Now, I'm taking some screenshots. You'll see that happen throughout the game for my thumbnail and stuff when I decide which one I want to use. But we'll start with the positives. While the game's playing in the background, you can leave your comments down below about what you think of eFootball. But starting with the positives, I think the graphics do look good. There are some debatable part of the graphics which I think are pretty poor. The crowd, for example, I think are quite poor. The turf is pretty poor. And I feel like the general lack of different graphics from PES 2021 and PES 2020. In fact, the animations, there's still a lot of the same animations in there, which is, fine. They've openly admitted they've used that. But yeah, in terms of the overall graphics, I think the increase in what you see in cutscenes, and there'll be some of those later when we go into Arsenal versus Bayern Munich, the cutscenes are much better. I think they're going to get very, very repetitive very, very quickly. It doesn't look like there's too much variation between the dressing room scenes, players walking to the dressing rooms. The player models in that walking to the dressing room still look pretty strange. This is a very good positive. I do like the fact that the ball can be rolled out quickly from the goalkeeper. They can take that quick free kick. As you can see, the AI has a bit of a brain fart in this place. We're playing at the moment on regular. This is me just trying to learn the controls because they have changed ever so slightly. Should have been 2-0, but you can't win them all. I think the gameplay is very strange. Well, no, we're going to stay on positives. So let's get the positives out of the way first. The ball control is nice. I like the fact that the ball doesn't always feel like it's on rails. You do have a lot more freedom around the ball and where you can go, what you can do with it. You've got to fight over loose balls with the AI, which is good. Another positive, because I was about to slip into a negative then, because I just feel like there's so many of them. Another positive then, the shot control does feel pretty good. Defending, I like the defending. I think there's been a lot of hype around the new defending style, saying it's going to take a while to learn it. I feel like you can learn it relatively quickly if you've come from a game or playing FIFA or playing from PES when you're blocking off passing lanes rather than going to just always press the ball. As long as you know when to press the ball, when to time a tackle, you'll be fine defensively. It's really, really not that much of an issue. The AI player runs, you saw it there from Danilo. He made an overlapping run much quicker. We've set this to play counter-attacking, which is good. I think playing quick counter, I think it's called in the tactics instructions, was a bit OP. I think it's a bit overpowered, but you can see AI making cleverer runs, I'd say, without manual input than PES 2022, which is good. It's a good positive that things like that happen. However, there's quite a few negatives, and the first negative I think we can touch on is this horrendous colour scheme, which you can see on the screen right now. It's everywhere. This yellow and blue, we knew it was coming, but it looks absolutely disastrous. I mean, this is lovely. I think you'll see me take a screenshot of this in a minute, maybe for a thumbnail. Like the players walking out of the tunnels, these sort of cutscenes look good. The fans stand up and applaud the home team when they come out. That's really, really nice. But yeah, we'll touch on the colour scheme still. So the yellow and blue is horrendous. It makes the scoreboard in the top left horrendous. Why they decided it would be great to stick with having a pink background for all of the badge colours, I don't get it. You can see it on the bottom right, bottom left, with the team badges over the pink there. It looks disgusting. When they do the flash throughs, it looks horrible. When the eFootball logo comes up for a transition, it looks dreadful. I'm not too sure what they were thinking, to be honest. I really don't know with this colour scheme what they're thinking. And I know it's meant to be vibrant to pull in potentially a new crowd, mobile users, younger generation of players, whereas PES has normally had a pretty rock solid fan base of the older generation, I'd say, that's grown up with the likes of ISS, PES going back to like PES 6 or PES 2006 and then PES 2012 and stuff like that. But there's a lot there's a lot wrong with this game, and it's more than just the colour scheme of it. We're into about the hour mark here, and something you'll notice, and it was a good example of it there, where the ball went accidentally back to Chiellini at the back, is that passing, there seems to be a big difference between sometimes you can hold a button down and get to about 3/4 power like that. That's a decent effort from Dybala on the header, but you can get it down to like 3/4, or you can... Oh, sorry... You can let me start that again because I've confused myself with that Dybala effort, because it's also made me realise there was something else I wanted to talk about that was a negative. But with the passing, you can hold it down to 3/4 power and it will go 5 foot. You can hold it down to 3/4 power and it will go 20 foot to someone that you're not really thinking you're aiming at. And that's a real big concern. It seems to be pretty random for how hard someone can kick the ball. And now I know kicking power is a stat in eFootball, and it has been in PES previously, but I feel like if you're passing, with the same player, you should know how far that ball's going to go. So I was a bit put out by some of the passing. The AI has an absolute brain fart all the time. This is on regular, the next game's on Superstar, and you'll see some differences, but generally the AI isn't very clever when it has the ball. Massive negative as well. I had to turn dual camera off straight away. Doesn't make sense. They haven't programmed it properly. I can see why you might like it in terms of viewing and zooming in on a player trying to beat another one-on-one. But the issue I have with it is that I got the ball in my box in the Argentina v Portugal game, the intro game, as we just dive into this horrible menu. Again, it's disgusting. Yellow and blue. It's absolutely disgusting. I'm here just quickly going to check what is... a controlled finesse shot, and it is still R1. I was pressing that, it cancelled everything, so not too sure what it was. I think the controller looks great as it actually highlights what the buttons are, but the menus are absolutely disgusting. I've distracted myself again, going from one negative to another, but what was I talking about? Yeah, the AI having a brain fart, that was it. Even on Superstar you see it. No, we've done that. Dual camera, that's what we're talking about. Dual camera with Messi. I was playing as Argentina. I had the ball with Messi and I was just doing some passing, trying to get used to this strange difference in power. So I went round the back four and I gave it to my back four, and then I ran my centre-back into the penalty area, my own penalty area. And when I was in my own penalty area, the computer came and pressed me with a striker, and because the computer came to press me, the game assumed I was going to try and take him on in a one-on-one duel. So I was zoomed in really close in my own penalty box, and therefore I couldn't see any of my teammates and I couldn't pass the ball. It was absolutely horrendous. So we came off that, went straight into broadcast camera, and that's what we've used in these two games. So if you're wondering what view it is, it's just broadcast camera. I've turned off the commentary in audio and went into in the stands. It does give you a little bit of a better atmosphere. That's a nice touch, actually. That should have been in the positives, but you can see these are all the same animations that are in PES 2021, in PES 2020. And then we get to this point that I very quickly skip over because it's rubbish. It's absolutely rubbish, that little interview at the end. It's pointless, totally pointless. You can't do anything with it. Then we go to the Arsenal game. These player models, yeah, they're okay. Lots of people walking like they've got rugs under their arms, even when they're under bag in one. But it's nice to see it. I think they'll get boring pretty quick. But the other negatives, though, I played this coming straight from playing a game of FIFA, and the responsiveness of eFootball was dreadful. Now, there's rumours that the build that the early access people got to play was one more on, and the responsiveness was a bit better, but generally I felt the responsiveness of eFootball was poor. I felt it was poor, and that's a huge problem. Before we even get onto the gameplay glitches, the responsiveness is poor. The player switching was poor. Where you have to aim your right stick to change player was poor. How you get through all those interactions as a team makes it much harder to play the game, and it's just it wasn't enjoyable. It wasn't enjoyable to try and manually switch between people and get that responsiveness that always seems to be there in PES, but is evidently much better in FIFA. You'll see I mess up very early on in this game. We go 1-0 down, and it actually finishes 1-0 by, and Lewandowski with a nice finish. But more negatives, the general crowd. It's repeated people to celebrate. I mean, I would never see Lewandowski, I think, do that celebration. Maybe I just don't watch enough German football. But yeah, the crowd, there is no atmosphere or emotion from the actual people in the crowd when you do something good, bad. The noises are there, but A lot of people just say that's academic, you know, it doesn't really matter. But it does matter. In a game where you're playing this on a PS5 and next gen, things like that do matter. They really do matter. And that brings me on then to the turf as well. It gets cut up a little bit. You can see little bits here and there, but you know, it's not, again, it's nowhere near the likes of FIFA. This has a bit more texture to it at the beginning, but this remains looking like an AstroTurf all the way through it. And that's just not what happens in a football match. Generally, there is little bits torn up and turfed up and stuff like that. But then we get on to the glitches, and I apparently, looking at social media today with this game being released, I apparently have got lucky that I haven't seen too many glitches. I saw a huge one in the Argentina-Portugal introduction game, which was I had the ball with Lionel Messi running down the right-hand side. A Portuguese player jumped from his spot, glitched through Messi, as in he teleported through Messi and turned up the other side of Messi. The referee then played advantage. The ball went out for a throw-in in exactly the same spot, and the advantage was lost, and Portugal got the ball. And it just didn't make any sort of sense. Did not make any sort of sense. I've seen glitches of players going down under pressure where there's really not that much pressure on them. I've seen wobbly legs, wobbly arms, looking like they're made of jelly as soon as someone's fouled. And I know this is like a demo, but you can't be releasing... these things should have been picked up in a quality check, and I'm frankly very disappointed in Konami that this has gone out as it has, and it doesn't look good for them. And I think this is going to put a lot more people off of those that were on the fence, like myself. I was disappointed with what they said they were doing. It's not making me want to buy the Master League add-on when it comes out, and I think that's a worry because I was really looking forward to it. But I don't know, it just looks a bit bad. I mean, it's bad on Konami, it's bad on the game, it's bad on the fact they've had 2.5 years to develop this. You can see here, like, Thomas Muller sort of just waiting for that perfect opportunity. And he did all right. The deflection was good. The ball physics are fine. The ball physics are pretty good as well. Like that, I've held that pass down quite heavily, and it's just not gone anywhere where I thought it would. But, yeah, just more negatives. That's my overall. I mean, I've got, a second half to sort of give you my overall summary, and I feel like it's not good enough is my overall summary. It's worse, in my opinion, than PES 2021. FIFA is a much better game to play right now, and I know this is going to have lots of updates. This is horrendous. The fact that it now goes left to right is absolutely horrendous. I was trying to make Odegaard an attacking midfielder, didn't know how to do it. There's nothing to even indicate how you can do it, so they automatically became then second strikers, went back to central midfielders. I was checking to see if they could play attacking midfield. They can. I didn't know how to select it in there either. And it's just blue, yellow, pink. It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible, these menus. And it's not part of the gameplay, but it's off-putting to see it. It really is off-putting to see it. And it's just not very nice. And you'll see we're going to tactics, and you have, again, you have to click in and then go down, and we switch to quick counter again because it worked for Juventus. So I just wanted to give it a go. And we do create a few chances, but look at it. It's horrible. Blue and yellow and pink. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. Good cutscene again of the players coming out, which was lovely. But... yeah, overall, not impressed. There's only 9 teams, which is really disappointing. You can go online, I think, and use more teams, which I will do in the future. This is all against the com. I haven't played any games against the AI. I've gone on and I've played 3 or 4. By the point you're watching this, I've probably played a dozen, if not 20 more games when this comes out. But the whole thing about it feels clunky, unfinished, rushed, and that's not what you want when they've openly admitted they've had like 2.5 years to develop this game. One quick thing there, I understand that you can press X to get that ball back in play quickly. As you can see, this is on the PS5, and it's in 4K. This is 4K gameplay. It's being recorded in 4K. It's coming to you in 4K once YouTube does its processing stuff, which it always seems to take time with. But when you do that quick get the ball back in play motion, what it doesn't do is you can throw the ball back in play, but you don't get any replays. And because they've never implemented a sort of thing of when the ball goes out and there isn't a quick ball to throw in play, or you want to take your time, they've never implemented this was a chance earlier in the game that came close. So you never get to see those chances again until the end of the game where you click view highlights. And it's just so strange that still in 2021 that's happening. There isn't a little break where you see games, and FIFA does that really well. And I know that's not gameplay, but those things matter. Coming to gameplay as a negative, I think FIFA's got a better gameplay this year. If you put FIFA on slow mode, it feels like PES. It feels like PES against the computer, and I think at the moment FIFA is the much better game as an all-round package, and that's what I'm going to be playing, and that's disappointing to say it as a long-term Pro Evo fan. It's yes, and then they do this thing where the player will go, oh no, I've missed, and then sprint, just leg it in a different direction. There's no real reaction. It doesn't make you feel like you're at a football game. It doesn't make you feel like you're involved in some sort of big event. And I know this is only a friendly, but online games are only going to be friendlies to start with. Like, there'll be a few ranked matches, but it's not going to feel passionately like you're at a good football game, like you're at the ground. And that's what they've said it should be, setting football free, and I don't think it lives up to that billing. I think the ball has more freedom, but I'm not sold. I set my expectations very, very low when we first heard what they're doing and the new football game came out, and then we realised that the new football game is probably what PES was going to be, or eFootball was going to be. My expectations then went up, or they probably actually went down even further when we saw the demo, the gameplay footage and the trailer and stuff like that. It was probably at an all-time low then. And then my expectations went up because a lot of people who went to the early access said it was a good game. It was a bit, there was a few glitches here and there, but I don't know. Maybe I was expecting too much. I think it's pretty poor. I hate the menus. I think FIFA has better gameplay. I've been rabbiting on enough. That'll do. Cheers. I'm out.